Tuesday, we have Siesta Fiesta coming your way, where we continue to critically analyze, slice and dice what is happening on the political arena, and of course also updating you on the latest current affairs. We shall be joined much later by Farah Malim, who is the Member of Parliament for Dadaab. We shall be joined by Tabitha Mutinda, the Senator, nominated Senator. Also, we shall be joined by Wilson Sosion, who is the CAS Tourism. And also on set we shall have Owen Bayer, who is the Deputy Majority Leader in the National Assembly. And we shall be looking at a route of issues, of course, continuing with the National Dialogue Committee moving forward right now. And we have now intervention from government regarding the El Nino floods. 10 billion shillings has been disbursed. Remember also, this was a very contentious issue between the Deputy President and the governors, where we had the Council of Governors stoutly denying they had received this 10 billion shillings, and now it has been disbursed. We shall also be looking at how the adverse effect of climate change is affecting us as a country here and worldwide, of course, and what are the mitigation that is coming to bear regarding this. But for now, let's see how the weather will be. Sacking loom as NHIF changes begin is what is on the front page of the Standard today. Tough times. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumisha has told health fund workers their jobs are not guaranteed in the new scheme. In 2 months, those to leave will receive their letters, and you can see them here having a moment there. The employees of NHIF during a meeting with Health CS Susan Nakhumisha of the new Social Health Authority to provide an update on the new changes at the NHIF headquarters yesterday. Give me a structure that will help me to answer many questions regarding whether jobs are guaranteed or not. This is what the CS was saying, and you can read all about it on page 6 of the Standard today. On the side, what Ruto Raila proposals on loan mean to Hustler? Some of the proposals less trouble by government officials. Let me just try and zoom in so that we can read together there. What Ruto Raila proposals on law mean to Hustler? Some of the proposals less travel by government officials. We have an increase in top executive officers, reduction in fuel prices, collapse of government institutions, increase of allocations to the counties, an audit of last year's presidential elections. All that tucked away inside the Standard today as the continued discussion on the National Dialogue Committee and the reports continues, whereas the report by the dialogue team has been received with heavy undertones. A Pick Inside shows elaborate plans to trim government spending and enhance funding to counties for development. And you have a story on page 4 of the Standard today. Inside Ruto's plan to sell KICC, Kenya Pipeline, the government has announced its plan to sell 11 more state agencies, including the Kenyatta International Convention Center and the cash-rich National Oil and Kenya a pipeline company. That is a story that you want to follow on page 2 of the Standard today, right? Is it cash-strapped National Oil or cash-rich National Oil, maybe for Kenya Pipeline Company. You can follow the story inside the Standard. Parents in court want Form 1 selection halted. This is the story that you want to follow on page 3. Parents in court, they want Form 1 selection halted. Cabinet sets aside 7 billion shillings for floods, and UAE planned to use COP28 on oil deals. UAE planned to use COP28 on oil deals. You have a story on page 27. Leopards struggle to regain form. That is on sports pages of the Standard this morning. This is how it looks. Make sure you grab a copy of the Standard. Also be reminded that we have Financial Standard coming your way. Get all the wiser as far as banking in a time of crisis is concerned. Right now, we're given to understand also the banks have set aside at least 48.9 billion shillings just as a mitigation that they're foreseeing what will be loan defaulting. We'll give you those details much later. That is the Standard today. Court suspends new health plan. This is a splash on the front page of the Daily Nation today. Petitioner argues it is illegal to deny Kenyan services for failing to register for the fund. Remember, it is a requirement for you to register for you to access this particular health plan or the scheme. And now we have a petitioner who has moved to court to challenge this. That's why it's been halted. Judge yesterday granted orders holding the implementation of a Social Health Insurance Fund Act, the Primary Health Care Act, and Digital Healthcare Act, dealing a blow to President William Ruto's push to effect the new health plan that seeks to make it mandatory for every family to contribute a percentage of their income to the fund. You have a story on page 4 of the Daily Nation this morning. And Raila queries KCPE integrity as parents sue. Over 200 parents from 2 private primary schools have moved to the High Court seeking a declaration of the premises of the Kenya National Examination Council as a crime scene, as they petitioned for the temporary suspension of the Form 1 selection exercise. The controversy over the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination results has also drawn condemnation from Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga, governors, MPs, and teachers union. And you have a story on the back page of the Daily Nation. You can see Ryan Kibet, a candidate in last year's KCPE exams from Kitengela International School, accompanied by other pupils, their parents and lawyers, addressing journalists yesterday at the High Court in Nairobi after they filed a petition seeking orders to stop Form 1 selection because of discrepancies in the marking of the exam. Pupils from St. Greenhill Academy and the parents are also part of the suit. You can follow the story inside the Daily Nation. We'll give you the gritty details as well in our news bulletin this morning. Doctors who refused to perform unnecessary tests awarded 16 million shillings. This is what we have on the side by here. All matters about integrity. Dr. Jigar Patel was sacked for refusing to carry out unnecessary tests, admission, and CT scans on patients to generate revenue for MaxCure Hospital Limited based in Kisumu. But the court has ordered the private hospital to pay the doctor for wrongful and unfair dismissal. And of course, this is just a picture how many of this really goes undetected, where you go for unnecessary scans, unnecessary tests just for a hospital to make profit out of it. And Dr. Jigar Patel, congratulations for standing firm. You have a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation this morning. Relief. ICC closes probe into Kenya's 2007 post-poll violence. The International Criminal Court Deputy Prosecutor Nazad Shamin Khan said her office will not pursue additional cases into the alleged crimes. On El Nino, governors get 10 billion shillings for disaster response. The cabinet yesterday refused to declare the ongoing El Nino rains as a national disaster, even as it rolled out measures to respond to the unfolding humanitarian crisis. 38 counties are now affected by the rains that have so far killed 76 people and displaced 35,000 households. You have a story on page 6 of the story in the Daily Nation today. Up for sale, State 6 to privatize 11 parastatals. And you have the logos here displayed. That is Kenya Seed Company Limited. Also have Mwea Rice Mills. We have Rivertex East Africa Limited. Also we have Kenya Pipeline Company, National Oil Corporation, Kenya Literature Bureau, Numerical Machining Complex, and also Kenyatta International Convention Center, amongst the 35 that the state is seeking to privatize. That story is all tucked away inside the Daily Nation. As we look at the Star, this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the Star. Raila calls crisis meet as Azimio split over report. Individual MPs from Odinga camp have termed it underwhelming. And we have the flag reading way forward. It does not address lowering the cost of living. And also we can see another picture there, a standalone picture, or just depicting on what the current floods are doing and devastating the lives of Wananchi. Ruto's cabinet unveils plan to deal with raging floods. And water everywhere. Stretch at Madogo Garissa Road that was destroyed by floods. All that in page 7 of a Star. Kenyan man stuck in Mexican hospital after severe burns. And they're asking, do you know this man? Right, his face is a bit fuzzy here. Do you know this man? He is stuck in a Mexican hospital after he sustained severe burns in an accident last Friday with no relatives to look after him. A public appeal has been made for his family to come for him. Public reports show that Francis Kamau Shege was involved in an explosion that left him with extensive burns, making their doctors induce a coma as part of treatment. He's in a coma, and this is a face of Francis Kamau Shege. Right? If it rings a bell or you're familiar with him, you can contact their family so that he can be actually rescued. He's in a coma right now as part of a treatment after severe burn. That is a Star this morning. Kenya Pipeline and KCPE among 11 states firms lined up for sale. And you can see that story continuing on page 12 of the Star. Also, Natembeya drops DP Gachagwa's name in fallout with his deputy. The story continues on page 8 of the Star this morning. Let's see what People Daily is holding for us. Floods. State pledges cash. Governors protest payoff. Cabinet allocates billions for emergency response against heavy rains as death toll climbs. Move comes after county bosses accuse government of failing to disburse funds. You have the story on page 4 of the People Daily this morning. And we have illustration there. 76 people who have lost their lives as a result of the floods so far. Over 500,000 others are threatened with displacement. 35,000 households have been displaced by the heavy rains that continue to pound various parts of the country. 150,000 mosquito nets will be distributed to counties prone to malaria in campaign to fight new infections. Also, 180 million shillings value of medical supplies that the government will airlift to Wajir County with assistance of KDF. 10 billion shillings, amount that will be allocated to county governments to deal with floods after governors protested. 7 billion shillings, that is the amount in contingency funds that government has allocated to deal with El Nino. You have the story on page 4 of the People Daily. Raila to lead protest eve talks falter. Right, this is in the whole thing. Raila to lead protest eve talks falter. And also, parents sue over KCPE. I give you the gritty details. More of a story there on page 3 of the People Daily today. ICC prosecutor finally terminates Ruto case. And you have a story on page 14 of the People Daily this morning. All right, let's see what we have on the front page of the Taifa Leo. Atasimama na raia? That is a question that is being expressed here on the front page of the Taifa Leo. Raila ajipata pagumu ama akimbilie mnofu wa maridhiano au amsukume Ruto apunguze gharama ya maisha. That is what the flag is reading. We have njia panda wenzake ndani ya Azimio kama vile Karua na Wamalwa wamepinga mapendekezo ya ripoti ya kamati ya maridhiano hadi masuala tata kama vile gharama ya juu ya maisha yashughulikiwe kikamilifu. You have a story on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. And Nino, serikali yazinduka yazipa county bilioni 10, all those tucked away inside the Taifa Leo this morning. 200 billion shillings assets reach parastatals put on sale. 11 entities to be privatized in IMF-backed this divestiture plan. Kenya Pipeline, KCPE among the most lucrative. President William Ruto's administration is proposing, it says, to sell 11 parastatals with an asset value of more than 200 billion shillings as part of the International Monetary Fund-backed reforms aimed at restructuring public entities and lessening reliance on taxpayers. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u has, in a new privatization program under the newly enforced law, disclosed plans to offload government shares in 11 state-owned enterprises. They're listed here. We're beginning with the Kenya Pipeline Company. Also, we have new KCC, and that is their total asset value as it stands in billion shillings. Leading is Kenya Pipeline at 142. We have the next one, the new KCC at 14.11 billion shillings. We have Kenya Seed 12.59 billion shillings. Rivertex East Africa Limited 6.38 billion shillings. KICC 6.25. National Oil Corporation 5.98. Kenya Literature Bureau 4.75. Also we have Numerical Machinery Complex at 0.963. Mwea Rice Mills at 0.7. Western Kenya Rice Mills Limited at 0.013. This is, of course, from the Auditor General reports. You can read all about it. All this is out for grabs for privatization. Let's see how that will pan out. Top banks set aside 62 billion shillings. Anticipate record defaults, right? It says 8 tier 1 banks, including Equity, KCPE, and Stanbic, have increased their loan loss provisions by 45.8% to 62.5 billion shillings in the third quarter of this year in anticipation of massive defaults due to a tough operating environment. In the third quarter of 2022, 8 large lenders put aside 42.9 billion shillings as insurance cash against potential defaults, or what is known as loan loss provision. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Business Daily today. Former EAPCC workers allowed seize 1.3 billion shillings. Allowed seize of 1.3 billion shillings. East Africa Portland Cement Company has suffered a blow after the Court of Appeal failed to lift an order obtained by former workers attaching its bank accounts over a debt of 1.3 billion shillings, and 2 EPZ firms to fire 7,850 employees. The Ministry of Labour has summoned the management of 2 EPZ factories in Mombasa over the impending layoff of 7,850 staff next month. Online forex brokers hit with new tax, right? Waiting for always a new one every day. Treasury has introduced a regulatory fee on online forex brokers, opening an extra revenue stream for the Capital Markets Authority as well. If you want all the gritty details, all that is covered on page 14 of the Business Daily this morning. Let's see what is happening in Uganda. Government assets, or government sets, I should say, new terms for land registration. It's all about regulation. The Ministry of Land warns all duly registered landowners to update their communication details, including acquiring postal addresses through which the ministry can directly relay any updates concerning transactions on their property as part of plans to curb fraud. And you have the story on page 4, right? Reading, in this day and age, postal addresses, well, I thought the snailmans are done with, but this is a requirement in Uganda. You can follow the story inside on page 4. Battle for Muslim property, Kiyimba out on bail, and you can see a celebratory mood here where the former Nsangi Municipality Mayor Haji Abdul Kiyimba is carried shoulder high by supporters after he appeared before the Law Development Center Court in Kampala yesterday. Haj Kiyimba is accused of causing a fracas at the Gaddafi National Mosque in Old Kampala during the last Juma prayers after he confronted Mufti Shaban Mubaje over the impending sale of Muslim property over 19 billion shillings debt. You have a story on page 3 of the Daily Monitor in Uganda. Let's see what we have on top here on the teaser. Try and zoom out a bit. Tenders, we will not really look at that. We have UNEB recruiting 14,000 markers for PLE and UCE. That is happening in Uganda Daily Monitor, Truth Every Day. And in Rwanda, COP28, what should be Africa's agenda? The report places urgent emphasis on finalization of a loss and damage fund. This is on page 3. And also central bank digital currency use possible. This is what Rwangombwa is saying. Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, John Rwangombwa, can be seen here presenting the bank's activity report for the financial year 2022-2023 to a joint plenary sitting of Parliament on Monday. Rwangombwa said that a study had revealed that it is possible to use a central bank digital currency, that is CBDC, in the country to replace paper-based currency or coins. They're going the digital way. You can read all about it inside the New Times if you're waking up in Rwanda. Gisagara, Refugee students inspire local dropouts to return to school. And a look at Rwanda's progress in anti-GBV activism. Remember, next month, of course, or the activity of GBV, that is the gender-based violence, is what the whole world is focusing on. And that also seemed to be a story that is highlighted in the New Times this morning. The China Daily today is focusing on industrialization. Industrial firms keep making steady recovery. Better coordination between monetary fiscal policies urged to stabilize Chinese economy. That is what the China Daily is holding this morning. Critical role played by supply chains in focus ahead of Expo. And you can see a standalone picture here. Protesters blocked the Manhattan Bridge in New York City in the United States on Sunday to push for a lasting truce in Gaza Strip. Last week, Israel and Hamas agreed on a 4-day ceasefire in Gaza, which halted a conflict that has killed thousands, but was set to expire after Monday. And the latest is that this particular ceasefire also will be extended, and we'll also have that details much later. And roadmap needed for solving Korean Peninsula issue is another story that you can follow inside the China Daily. The Economist is holding this week some progress must try Harper. It says is a climate report, investment, renewables, adaptation, keeping to commitments, making commitments, climate financing complete. That is maybe all headed towards also the COP28 as well. And open artificial intelligence lessons from a revolution. And the UAE's ambitious ascent into the mass finances. Why? Isolationists should aid Ukraine. That is the latest in The Economist. Also, we have the Time magazine and the most 100 influential leaders driving business to real climate change or climate action. This is Time 100 Climate. And this is where also President William Ruto has been featured as well. You can grab a copy of the Time magazine. And the Newsweek, can artificial intelligence beat cancer? That is a probing question. And the world most cynic drives as well. I insert the Newsweek if you want to follow it. Can the new artificial intelligence beat cancer? That is a probing question. All the gritty details inside the Newsweek. With new powerful tools, scientists are winning battles against this complex disease. There is hope. And the Newsweek, ready to rumble. Why Republicans lawmakers are ready or are trading jabs and making threats. You can read all about it. You can see in the arena who is fallen and who is rising. Ready to rumble. That is in the US. The week in the UK is all about Sunak's uphill task. Will his Rwanda policy ever fly? And you can see him pulling, of course, the landing gear there on the taxiway, right? He's helping the plane to taxi. Will it really fly? With the recent determination from the Supreme Court regarding this particular immigration policy. That is how the Newsweek or the week is looking this week. Editorial cartoon is all about Atwoli, the crocodile. And you can see him here, Atwoli. I am taking my workers to the 23rd century. And that's how he has been personified by Gado today. Atwoli and Kotu. Is it losing its chutzpah, the je ne sais quoi, that particular oomph? That is what is the question. They're really rallying for the voice and the cry of the people. And to show you the Citizen, I missed it there, the new EU envoy lists key areas of strategic partnership. This is in Tanzania, right? And also the East African, the new kid on the block. Somalia has been admitted to EAC, but the real journey begins now as it seeks to put its house in order and domesticate crucial protocols for trade. This is the story that you want to follow inside the East Africa. And another drowning victim. That is what we have as the editorial cartoon inside the People Daily today. And you can see the shilling, the way it's drowning right now. It has been going down and down against the dollar. This is another drowning victim that needs to be bailed out. And this is what Stano has depicted for us today. Right, I shall be showing you much more on what we do have in the Daily Nation and also the People Daily as far as editorial cartoons are concerned. But All right, now let's just follow up the story of how the cabinet meeting was yesterday, where we're given to understand that 76 people have lost their lives and 35,000 households have been displaced by the ongoing rains. This being the figures released by the government after the special cabinet secretary at the State House, Nairobi, on Monday. And as Jeff Kirui reports, the government says it has released 7 billion shillings from the contingency fund to address the effects of the rains.
President William Ruto on Monday morning convened a special cabinet meeting to deliberate mitigations as the country continued to witness heavy rains projected till end of the year.
Cabinet noted with regret that we have lost 76 Kenyans to El Nino, while 35,000 households have been displaced. The most severely affected areas are in the northeastern, eastern and coast regions specifically.
According to the government, 38 out of the 47 counties have been affected, including northeastern counties of Wajir, Mandera and Garissa, 4 coastal counties, 4 in central Kenya, 10 counties of Rift Valley, 7 counties in eastern region, and 4 in Nyanza and Nairobi County.
38 out of our nation's 47 counties are within the alarm stage, a stage characterized by flash floods, general flooding in low-lying plains, rivers busting their banks, landslides and mudslides, loss of livestock and destruction of farmland and infrastructure.
A situation that prompted the release of 7 billion shillings from the contingency fund.
The resources committed will be applied for humanitarian response, including distribution and supply of medical commodities, food and non-food items, rehabilitation of infrastructure, and resettlement of displaced families.
According to the State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed, the government last week released 10 billion shillings of shareable revenue to county governments and will be releasing a similar amount this week to enable counties deal with the effects of the rains.
The government is encouraging the counties, as much as it's part of the shareable revenue, government is encouraging counties to try and reallocate some of these funds to the dire situation now occasioned by these floods.
In the meantime, the cabinet resolved for a multi-agency approach to intervene in affected areas.
The state's intervention is being undertaken in a joint effort between the national and county governments, and which incorporates the Kenya Defence Forces and the National Youth Service in operation with the Kenya Red Cross Society. Through aircraft made available by the Kenya Defence Forces, medical supplies have been airlifted to the most vulnerable counties.
And even though the government figures indicate that 76 people have lost their lives, it is estimated that more than 90 people have died. Jeff Kirui, KTN News.
Now, the recent discrepancies that marred KCPE examination has left parents and the candidates in a state of confusion, even as the image of Examination Council NEC is tainted. In Kakamega, a candidate received her results reading 358 marks, but after appealing, the results were rectified within 48 hours and now reads 409 marks. As Alan Wachan reports, NEC has been called out upon to up its game, as a mistake could cost learners dearly in their academic journeys.
Though let Mukangu Hope Academy fraternity in Shinyalu, Kakamega County could not hold back their joy and broke into celebrations after receiving the results of their top pupil Prudence Shalimba, who initially had her results wrongly captured. On Thursday last week, Prudence received 358 marks as her KCPE results. It broke her and appeal immediately. 48 hours later, her Kiswahili marks were amended from 36 to 87, bringing her final marks to 409, moving from the initial position 3 to the top position.
Siku ya kurelease tulikuwa tunakula, so waka-download results. Babangu hakukuwa na furaha kwa uso. Tukamuuliza nini mbaya, akatuita akatuambia tumepata results but ziko na shida. So akatuonyesha ni 358 na sikukuwa na furaha juu Kiswahili nilikuwa na 36. Which was D. Sasa sikufurahia sana juu hiyo si max yangu. Kwanza nilikuwa napata hiyo 36 kwa insha pekee. So sikukuwa na furahi, nilianza kulia, hata sikutaka kusikia kitu chochote. Sasa vile wameappeal, jana nilikuwa nimeenda kanisa, nikarudi nikapata results wame correct, na Kiswahili nimepata 87 A plain. nilifurahia sana, which yenye ilinipea 409 altogether.
Joy written all over their faces given the school's index 1 star was almost dimmed, and she can now be sure her academic dreams will materialize.
Vile nilikuwa nimepata 358, nilikuwa namba 3 kwa shule. Wa kwanza alikuwa na 387, wa pili 378 na mimi nikakuwa watatu na 358. Na sikuwa haikuwa namba 3. Tangu nianze class 8 nilikuwa naongoza. Sasa nilishanga, but vile wame correct nimekuja nimepata 409 yenye nimeongoza shule yetu. Dream school yangu ni Kenya High.
Waziri alipokuwa akitangaza matokeo haya, nilikuwa hospitalini, nilikuwa nimelazwa kwa ajili ya ugonjwa, na nilipopata matokeo kwamba amepata 358, nilikuwa na huzuni nyingi sana, hata nafikiri ugonjwa ulizidi siku hiyo. Kwa hivyo wakati ambapo tuliweza kulaunch a complaint na matokeo yakarekebishwa, nikawa mwingi wa furaha na hata nikaweza kupata nguvu na nafuu.
NEC was last week called out over the glaring mistakes that affected thousands of candidates. Some candidates received results of sign language, yet they never sat for the exam. Some schools had suspicious similar results in specific subjects, raising questions on the credibility of the exercise, even as the exam council insists it was above board.
Walikuwa wamesema watarelease mtihani wiki hii. Yaani walisema next week. Sisi tungakojea next week. The following day tunasikia wana release. Ndio tukapata hiyo makosa na nikakundua kwamba sio Hope Academy peke yake, shule nyingi zilikuwa na hiyo shida. They have all the time. Wachunguze, waangalie vizuri, wafanye proofreading ndio wa release. Wasifanye tu haraka hivyo kwa sababu imeleta picha mbaya sana kwa NEC.
This year's cohort was the last of the 844 system as the country fully transitions to the CBC system. Alan Ochanda, KTN News.
Now, the Kenya National Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KCPE, wants the Kenya National Examination Council to reconsider its decision to suspend CRE papers. 2 examiners, terming the decision uncalled for and a threat to the process of exam management. Secretary General Akelo Misori further wants the council to decentralize marking of national exams and consider spreading the exercise across the region or in the regions in a similar manner as the national holiday celebrations. The union further urged NEC to enhance payment for examiners by reviewing payments per script by every subject.
Power! 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 Power!
That Kenya National Examination Council has resorted to very punitive measures to suspend the 600 examiners of CRE paper 1. This is uncalled for, and we ask the council to reconsider this position because it does not augur well with the manner in which the council is handling the matter of teachers. Secondly, the transfer of supervisors, and especially in semi-arid and ASAL areas. You realize that most examiners who are relocated, especially after serving for 1 week, then the following week they go to very distant places which they are not prepared to have, with very little support from the council in terms of accommodation and in terms of transport. If our national celebrations like Madaraka Day can be rotational, why must the council insist that they have got traditional centers where exams are marked? That the National Examination Council must address what the teachers must get for the 2.5 weeks that they will be marking exams. First, the out-of-pocket must move from the traditional 150 shillings to 500 per day, and then the scripts must now be upgraded in terms of what the teachers get after handling one script.
All right, so we have these ominous clouds of banks hanging over these KCPE results, as we can see. Also, we can see the picture of Ryan Kibeta, candidate in last year's KCPE exams from Kitengela International School, accompanied by other pupils, their parents and lawyers, addressing journalists yesterday at the High Court in Nairobi after they filed a petition seeking order to stop Form 1 selection because of discrepancies in the marking of exams. Peoples from St. Green Hill Academy, I should read St. Green Hill or St. Green Hill, it's being put here, Academy, and the parents are also part of the suit. And I want just to rope in the voice of Wilson Susion, who is the authoritative voice when it comes to matters academia, to just tell us what is really happening currently. Will we be waking up next year? And we are wondering what is the way forward with our children as far as the Form 1 selection is concerned. This process is supposed to be ongoing until just before Christmas, when the exercise should have actually stopped, with you having selected some of the government having now done the selection and the people's knowing which schools they will be going to next year. Mr. Susin, good morning, good to see you.
Yeah, good morning to that.
Yes,
and, good morning, our viewers, wherever they are.
Right. So I wanted just to jump into it briefly so that you can tell us what is really happening with this latest development of the people's moving to court, this confusion regarding the integrity of it so far. How then do we trust the credibility?
Exams are generally very emotional matters to households and children. And when communication is not properly managed, it results in all this. My first check with the Kenya National Examination Council and the ministry indicates that actually there is nothing wrong. The problems stemmed from the deployment of results by the bulk SMS. That is where data was corrupted, and the data that went out was not very accurate. You could see some students receiving results for the Kenya Sign Language, which they never did. And this spiraled into a big concept of suspicion, which is not true. And checking with Kenya National Examinations Council, the results are original and intact. And what is deployed to the school portals, every school in Kenya, whether private or public, has a portal where the results are deployed to once they are declared. And the results in the school portals are accurate. And even what has been deployed through the SMSs have been corrected.
So they can verify through the portal.
The errors that Kenya National Examination Council admitted affected only 133 students. And this was with respect to English and Kiswahili, where you have to integrate the marks for the composition and Insha with the mark for the objective test. And this affected only 133 students, which Kenya National Examinations Council responsibly acknowledged that those students, their composition results were excluded and they were corrected, and all students in the country have results. But now, these errors have been blown out of proportion. There's a lot of discussion and wrong information being peddled out there to look like there is a big issue with respect to KCPE. And you know, KCPE are computer marked, most of it except compositions. And all the students in Kenya have received their results. Some of these data we are seeing and information in the TV are actually completely misleading. Even those who have moved to court, the Tengela International School, I think they're doing it erroneously. Some of the private schools, and this is a truth that must be taught, give the parents and students a lot of exaggerated hopes. And when they don't get the marks they were made to believe they will get, it is now that they are appealing and laying the blame to the Kenya National Examinations Council.
What would you say about...
I would say...
No, what would you say about what Kupet also is asking for some of the markers of a CRE, especially? You mentioned just English and which other subjects that has problems?
Now we are talking about KCPE, English and Kiswahili.
English and Kiswahili.
There were errors, omission of results of 133 students, which was acknowledged by NEC and corrected. Those are the only errors. The rest are okay. The results are in the portal. Every student in Kenya can access the result slip from their schools. And you see, the next thing is admission to schools. And some of these private schools have put a lot of premium and given students and parents exaggerated hopes that they will get high marks so that they can access premium national schools. As you have seen, one of the cases is trying to stop admission. I think this is going too far. Kenyans, and particularly those parents who have enrolled their students in private schools with the hope of getting express avenue to premium national schools, they should come to terms with their results and avoid putting so much pressure on children. I think what we need as a country is to tell them to encourage all learners and all parents that they should move to the schools they will be admitted to. All our schools are the same, and we should focus now on the admission process and that support the Ministry of Education in concluding the admission process for Form 1 as soon as possible. And where students are admitted, our schools in Kenya, whether private or public, let the students move.
So from your assessment, everything is fine, yes, aside from those 100 plus students that have been affected.
As far as I'm concerned.
So the governors who are raising concerns, we have also the teachers' unions that are raising concern on this.
These are political statements out of
we should not hear them, even from the teachers' union?
The thing is, yes, it is misinformation.
Why is it misinformation?
What KCPE are doing are just simply engaging in populism because the teachers are reporting for marking today. And of course, you've had about 600 teachers who have been struck out from marking CRE arising from the stampede that happened last year. The exams and contracting of examiners is the exclusive mandate of Kenya National Examinations Council. It is never a labor issue. Unions cannot negotiate with the exam council. We don't do that. I've been a unionist for a long time. Whereas certain things are legitimate, reviewing rates of marking and having marking centers comfortable. In fact, the argument of spreading the marking centers across the country is wrong. It was centralized in Nairobi for purposes of effective coordination and for purposes of ensuring that there is no foul play during marking. The marking process is also a security process that must be properly coordinated. And it's wrong for KCPE to try and campaign for spreading of marking centers across the country. It will be difficult to coordinate. We've got enough institutions and facilities here in Nairobi where the minister and government agencies can supervise the examination centers from time to time and ensure that marking is done. And not only that, we can ensure the comfort of examiners who are marking. Whereas there are legitimate issues about welfare of teachers and review of the marking rates, which are legitimate, but those are matters to be canvassed diplomatically with the Kenya National Examination Council, because there are no recognition or labor agreements between unions and exam council. Exam council is an exclusive security institution dealing with examinations, and they enter into contracts with individual teachers, because there are many teachers out there who would like to mark, and there are certain threshold and minimum requirements that are expected of an examiner, ranging from conduct, confidentiality, and efficiency. So exam council is at liberty to choose who to mark and whom not to mark, and you cannot force it. So it cannot be a labor issue. Let KCPE and unions take labor issues to the Teacher Service Commission and other entities. But for matters of examinations, they can canvass quietly and diplomatically with the ministry and with NEC. But you cannot come out and try to excite the public over a matter that we know historically is never a labor issue.
All right, let's hear from Honorable Tabitha Mutinda and also Owen Baya as well. Good morning, Tabitha. Right from Meru, you can tell us what is happening what was happening in Meru as well. Maybe also you had a candidate has been affected by these results, you can tell us. But we expect our system to be fail-safe, especially when it comes to technology, when issues regarding exams that are very emotive, as you say. Someone can actually just go to the portal and get all these exams, all the results that are not accurate. We've had students here in the country who they've died by suicide because of the results that they really got. So if we have a system that is erroneous, that you cannot be trusted, that you say it is what is on the SMS is dramatically different from what is in the portal. That should not be the case in the first place. Is there any verification that is done before this system, or quality checks that are done before all these bulk SMSs are sent? Because I think we could lost one life or two because of erroneous results that is not a true reflection of what the NEC has given from their portal. So failed systems, I think that's something that should be addressed critically. But Tabitha, over to you. I don't know if you had a candidate or a relative or who was sitting and also they have qualms and concerns regarding the integrity of the results.
Thank you, Dibal, and good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, I had a nephew who was sitting and he scored well. Very proud of him. But Dibal, even before I continue, let me still congratulate all the KCPE students who were able to sit for the exams and were able to score. We really applaud them. There are a few cases that I saw, quite a number, about 1,000 or 2,000 who got less than 100 marks, which was a bit of a concern, because looking at that score was lower. But I'm very happy because the minister said that all students will be placed to their second level, to their next level of education, that is the high school level. So I'm very happy about that. But now, narrowing it and coming back to where we are, I remember during my time, when results were out, they were actually pinned on the school wall board, and we would, go and you are able to check then what did you score. That was the fact of it. We appreciate technology. I'm a digital ambassador in terms of digital literacy, and we are in a space whereby now these results are digital. You are able to sit back, do an SMS and get your results. Is it the first time in 2023? No, it's been there. This checking of exams with the phone, this has been there. This has been happening. One thing I'm happy is that through NEC, when these issues were raised, NEC did not defend themselves. They went back as a management through their CEO, because I had the CEO coming out and said, if any parent has an issue, kindly visit our NEC offices, be able to point out your issues, and then a response will be able to be given to you, because we've realized there is a problem through the SMS process. When you are doing your exam, when you are registering, we did not as students or through the parents or the teachers, the registration was not done by the phones. It was done through the normal channel systems. So in the event there's a challenge or there's some confusion, come to the right offices, let you be able to ask. I have not seen any public school coming out and bringing out issues. I've just seen a few of the private schools now, which also raises a bit of some questions. I'm very saddened, Dibal, because yesterday, as I was watching news in one of the channels, I saw, I think, a teacher crying because the results are not as per the institution expected. And that is shameful. And I talk as a leader and a parent, because if you are the expected teacher who is supposed to encourage students, despite that the marks that they get, because they cannot be the same. So is it a business of commercial education, whereby you as a whole trained teacher would come to the media, shed tears because the results are not per what you expected? What are you taking these kids through? What about the kid even who scored 150? Where is he or she supposed to be? Who is supposed to encourage he or she of that kid? These are the teachers that then are surprising, because they're the ones who have rushed to court. What evidence are they showing Kenyans to compare? Where are the records to indicate that student X, index number X, this was, this is the actual score, and this is, like this? Where is that? Why do we want to become populist in this country from each and every corner without having solutions. Now, Dibal, now they want to go a step back and narrow it to the Kenya Kwanza government. That, oh, we have a minister of education who is not competent because these results are like this. Is this the way to go? And we have institutions. Look at KUPPET. When did KUPPET start marking exams? What I've heard them talk about, it's about, okay, fine, the increment of the examiners from the Kenya shillings that they've been paid to an X amount. Fine, those are welcome to discussion that people can be able to sit and say, where are we in terms of then what can be the increment and also the timelines for the examiners being paid. That is okay. But then now when they start going back and also trying to lament in terms of what the institutions are doing, then we wonder what kind of leadership is in place also with KUPPET. They should be the ones being the representatives, going and be able to bring out the facts of it and being able to address issues as required. Because we are a country that is sort of more into championing the problem, but not more focused on the facts of the solutions. And this is not where we should be. But one thing I'm very happy is that all students will be placed in their Form 1 selections. Now, when they say they start stopping these processes through the court, we are coming from a COVID period whereby we had 4 terms, very strenuous for parents in terms of the financial preparations for your student, for your kid to be able to go to the school and all that, because you can imagine a 4 term paying the school for we are used to 3 terms in a year. So as a parent, you are able to at least financially plan yourself. Now, if these delays are going to be there, then it affects a whole chain whereby then the parent will not be able to get the institution that the kid will be reported to. They might not be able to plan on time, and it brings hindrances. Yet, as indicated by Mheshimiwa Sosion, this is a case for only 133 students. So why is it because you in your commercial institution of education, you did not achieve what you had promised parents, as if the parents are the ones sitting for that exam? Reality should be given in terms of this is the true score, and these teachers should stop negating and discouraging these students.
Right.
Because
Thank
those
you.
are and let me tell you, we are watchful. As leaders, we are watchful. If institutions like that would come out and start inciting students to that level, discouraging them, that is, I don't think, I'm not a teacher, but I don't think that is the ethic of an educationist. That is the ethic of a professional.
But in the first
teacher.
place, we should not be in this particular space discussing the integrity of an examination and, raising also questions around it and people moving to court. The efficacy of the exams should actually be very succinct, so to speak, that, this is it and there are no qualms. This is your results. It's not that you have questions regarding, the transaction of this examination. Was the system gamed? That people now people actually manipulated the system, that the actual result was given diametrically different? Who are these people who are offering these services? Have they been summoned to explain what really happened so that we understand what really happened? Was there any alternative aside from SMSs that if the portal fails, peradventure, or perhaps it fails, then this will be the alternative? As you said, they used to list these things in the schools, so your concerned school will actually put it on the board, on the pin boards there, and go and see where your marks are. So was there any fallback plan? This is what people are asking. Owen, very good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bal. It's been a while since I was here, and unfortunately I'm coming at a time when there are a lot of controversies on exams. I would have loved to come here on happy issues.
And the controversy of the floods, the funds of the floods has been sorted out at least.
Yes. But again, Bal, I want to congratulate the candidates and those that got their results, that did well. I am happy. My area Kilifi, where all the time we would be at the tail end of results, but this time I think we have made good progress. Good progress in terms of students doing well. I think that is positive on our end. On the issues of the emerging issues of the examination results and all that, I want to make 3 points as follows. One, there has been a deliberate attempt by people who are in education for commercial purposes, not for the purposes of education. People who have infiltrated the education sector to make money out of it. And they have started many private schools, and the promise when you bring your child to the private school is whether the student is able or not, but we can guarantee you good results. And therefore you admit a student on that basis. And therefore the next admission to your school depends on the performance of the class now. And now what does that say? It says if the students in my school do not do well, I will lose the next business. Okay, because students will not be admitted into my school, or people will not seek my school to admit their children. And therefore, I am very concerned about the results that I get now for this year. And that is actually where we have the problem, especially with private schools. Like you can see, a lot of these issues that are coming out are from private schools. They're disappointed at the results, but probably these are the true results of their children. That is one. Two, the other issue that we need to look, probably NEC needs to look inward, is on the basis of why must the results be released as fast as the exam is done? Why don't we give space for verification, for validate?
What's the tearing rush?
Yes, why are we rushing? Because schools are opening in January. Why must we release results in November? Why? Where is the rush? Because a good examination, and Mwalim Sosyon will tell you should pass certain tests. You know, you should be able to validate it. You know, there's certain processes, including which I was taught. You know, you need to look at the marks and draw those curves. You know, normal curves, moderation, all those kind of things. You know, but I think there was a minister one day called Matiangi who came in and changed every aspect of what we know about educational statistics. That he thought that you could just release, when a teacher finishes marking, you release raw marks. You know, but examinations have many other purposes apart from just getting marks. That is what I was taught. You know, I'm a professional teacher, and I understand. And I did statistics of education, and we were taught why there's a mode, there's a medium, there's, you know, all that, and you have to pass examination through some tests, some Q tests, some T tests, until you say these are the real results of an examination. It is not just about putting a tick and a wrong. That's not what exams are about. But we killed the system of putting examination results and through a proper validation process. Why? Because we in a hurry to release results, just for the sake of being seen that, you know, exams were done 2 weeks ago. In 2 weeks' time, we have results. But we are not dealing with 2 students. We're not dealing with 3 students. We're dealing with the hundreds of thousands of students. Correct. And that, therefore, requires more vigilance in how you process examination results, and not just putting king in. You know, even the people that sit there, I want to imagine, you know, for this whole country, for the marks to be marked manually or by computer and all that, then they are input into a computer and analysis is done. And, you know, I'm sure there are people who stay there overnight, who don't sleep just to finish the work. You will definitely make errors.
Yes.
And it is these errors that you see, you know. And you see, as we progress towards reducing the time of examination process, the more errors we make. So I want to tell NEC, and I want to tell the people in examination, teaching is a profession. It is a profession. Being a teacher, being an education is a profession. Ensure the professional standards within the maximum of education are done. That is why when you go to study education, others are economists of education, others are planners in education, others are administrators, others, you know, all those branches. There's a reason why we even read history of examination across the world and how examinations have been processed. But you see, you have non-professional people who are infiltrating NEC, who think that the only thing that they're interested in is not how the marks have been processed, validated, and put through the whole process of examination. They only think about putting a tick and a wrong and adding up and putting those in, inputting a computer and releasing raw results. So what I want to tell NEC, this is an eye-opener. this is an eye-opener, which we must look at and say we need to review. Even today, during the dialogue, is it dialogue committee?
Yes.
We have said that when the presidential case results goes to Supreme Court, they need more time, not just the 14 days. Now I think they're recommending 21 days. Why? Because they want to increase efficiency in making judgment. How come in NEC we want to reduce time of processing results?
It's done in 1 week.
And that's an important thing that NEC must look. And if I see Machogu today, I will tell him he doesn't need to do what Matiang'i used to do. He has to bring his own system. As Ezekiel Machogu, the Minister for CS for Education, he needs to bring his own style in examination.
All right.
Yes.
Chavilecho wahenga haraka haraka, aina baraka. And we see what is really happening. What is the ad hocery sort of the policies that is coming, especially from the Ministry of Education. Now in the exams, previously it was about the university funding model. That has been a lot of confusion regarding that as well. And here we are, when we come to the public policy and what they call the incrementalism, just carrying over what the previous regime has been doing. If the system works and has been working, don't tinker with it. And all we can see is the garbage and can model of the public policy that we have currently. We shall be looking at that. What was the tearing rush in doing it in 2 weeks? I can imagine also for some of the officials there who are marking, or the examiners there,